Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly, and this week I want to talk about what is happening in New York as I record this and as you're probably watching this. The United Nations General Assembly is happening at the UN building in New York City. A man who is known as the Butcher of Tehran, who has oversaw the execution of thousands of people, men, women, and underage minors, took to the stage of the UN to address the auditorium. The man I'm talking about is Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi. Now, for those of you wondering why I have an issue with that, if you don't watch the CUFI Weekly regularly, or you're wondering why I'm calling out President Raisi, it's because this man is responsible for one of the most brutal regimes in the world. September last year, Mahsa Amini, a Kurdish Iranian girl, was murdered by Iran's religious police because they felt her headscarf was not on correctly. That led to courageous protests from the Iranian people, calling for freedom, calling for an end to tyranny, calling for greater women's rights in the country. They called for an end to a regime which has seen its own people starve, but will send billions of dollars overseas to support terrorist groups like Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. And yet, here he was. He came to New York City and strode up to that podium to address the world, to spout more propaganda against the West, and to push Iran's own nefarious agenda. Raisi talked about how the United States needs to do more to build trust after it left the nuclear accords. I hope you can pause and maybe even laugh, because it, as sad and crazy as it is, it's kind of funny. Ibrahim Raisi, the man who heads up the Islamic Republic of Iran, calling for the US to be more trustworthy. While Raisi stood up to speak, many representatives of various countries did leave the auditorium. Yet, there was one leader, one representative who stood up to protest this tyrant of a human being. That was Israeli Ambassador Gilad Erdan. Israel's ambassador to the UN courageously stood up, holding up a picture of Mahsa Amini, and protested Raisi as he began to speak. He was escorted out of the auditorium by UN security and was detained for several minutes while Raisi carried on with his speech. And it's really interesting. If you want to see a real microcosm of what the UN has become, that was it. Here you had this human rights violator, the butcher of Tehran, a man who's spared no effort in oppressing his own people. And we saw some of the horrendous footage of Iranian security forces attacking protesters last year, standing in front of the world, posing as a respectable leader. While the only democracy in the Middle East, Israel's representative, was detained for standing up for the Iranian people. Ambassador Erdan said he wanted to send a message to the Iranian people that they are not alone, that Israel stands with the Iranian people. We are dealing with an international order which has become devoid of courage and morality, and that is why your voice is so important. That is why acts of legislation like the SHIP Act that CUFI is supporting is so important. Because we need to ensure that this regime, which spreads terrorism, which oppresses its own people, which has held the people of Iran hostage for decades, cannot be allowed to prosper. And to see the beautiful and incredible and creative people of Iran free from this klepto regime that currently rules over them. This is Kasim Hafeez for the CUFI Weekly. Until next week, for Zion's sake, do not remain silent.
Thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe so you get a notification every time a new episode hits. And if you want to check out some of our previous episodes, and we've got some really good ones, click on one of the thumbnails and that will take you right there. And finally, if you want to know more about CUFI and the work we do, go to cufi.org to check out all the resources we have available free to you.